The ripple effect of going to prison. It's like when you go to prison, it's like a rock being tossed in a pond, still pond. The larger ripple is right next to where the rock went in. That's your immediate family and stuff affected by your actions. Second ripple out, your friends and so forth, and then the community and so on. But it affects more than just you. So that's what we'll be talking about. I remember when I got arrested, the whole county was talking about it. And it devastated my family. I seen them age 10 years in 1 year, in a year's time. And being sentenced, I mean, my mom just about lost it. So that's the first people you're going to have to know it's going to be affected is by the people who love you dearly and don't want to see anything happen. My mom, she wasn't just devastated about what I done and that I was arrested and everything. Her other son had went through all this abuse and she didn't believe us, you know. Now everybody wants to listen. But the point being, it affects the whole community. Your friends and stuff will be next. They'll be affected by it. Some of them will grieve and stuff. Then you get to prison. If you're lucky, you'll have a family that'll support you during your whole time there. Many times I've seen with others, family members and friends have fallen off, especially friends. Ones who you thought would always be there. They eventually, they got lives to live. They eventually stop writing or accepting phone calls, or they get different phones and don't, you don't know their number or anything. It eventually becomes less and less. It's just the way it is. You can sit there and say, well, that never happened to me. If I was in prison, my people would stay by me, and you might be right. They just might. But 9 times out of 10, I've seen with others, and even with myself with friends, slowly stop talking or writing as much, stop sending emails. Nowadays, they send emails instead of letters. Stop, you eventually don't hear from them. Then when you get out, they all want to be your friends again. It's funny how that works. But I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. And the community is going to be affected by it too, Especially when they don't have all the details. There's rumors about mine that flew left and right. And while I was in prison, somebody else went to prison from that county for committing a crime, and we heard one story after another about how it was supposed to happen and what it was about and all this and that. And then I think that's what aggravated me most is people talking and not knowing what they was talking about. It's aggravating. And even now, most people know. I get out and I go to my hometown. Most of them don't like talking about it. But some who do, and like some who was born after I went to prison, they want to hear it from me, But 29 years in prison is a long time to be away, people. And a lot of things changes, but there's a lot the same too, You get out, your teenage friends that you had, they're all grown. They got families and stuff now. But it's while you're in prison. It's not just about missing your family, not being free. I mean, it's everything. It's all the dynamics you can think of. That's what's involved with going to prison. You got guards telling you what to do and when to do it. Got all these rules. Now, it doesn't mean you have to obey the rules. Of course not. But there's going to be consequences for that, too. You want to just keep going to your whole bid, I went to a whole lot. I could have went a lot more. But I wasn't one of those type to just attack authority every time I didn't like what they said or anything, you know. I just wasn't one of those types. And did my time and try to get out, try to make it out. And then you have to deal with the other people in prison. You may think you have a good cellie. You never know what's going through his mind. And he wakes up one morning and decides to take you out. Or waits until you're asleep and does it. That's just, there's so much involved in just, people say prison this, prison that. Like you go there and then you do your time, you get out. It's more than that. If you get visits, it's the anticipation of waiting for the visit day to come, for your people to arrive. Just a few hours later, from that high of seeing them and hugging them, talking to them and everything, to going right back down because they have to leave. And every time they left, my mother was crying. I'm sure my dad and brother wanted to cry, but they just wasn't that type of person to do that. They rarely cried in public, you know, and I'm kind of the same way. But it's missing out on funerals, weddings, holidays. Now, my mom, when I first got to prison, wanted to come up on Christmas and see me. And I told her no. I said I would rather you guys enjoy your Christmas. And I'll make a phone call or something if I can. And so that's what I would do. I'd always call on Christmas and talk to them for a little bit. But people, it's not worth it. It's not worth the effect it's going to have on not your life, just your life, but the victim's family's life, on your family's life, your friend's life, your community. Because people who you may not even talk to, man, I found out was affected by that. And many have told me that they lost faith in the justice system because of that, because of my case, you know. But it is what it is. It still does not take away the fact that I took a life. Something I'm not proud of. Do I regret protecting my little brother? No, I do not regret protecting him. Do I regret the pain that I caused everybody involved? Yes, of course I do. That's something that I can never take back from them. You know, never take away. They're always going to have that. The ones who are still alive. They're always going to have that pain and grief of, you know, because you had two lives of, well, more than two, actually. You had the guy who I deleted, his family, who didn't believe that he did those things. Funny how years later, his younger brother got arrested for having that stuff on online, having to do with a child. Can you imagine that? First your older brother, then years later, a couple decades later, your younger brother. I can't imagine what the rest of them are thinking, unless they're chomos too. I hate to think that, but they could be. But you got all these people. I got off topic there. You got all these people that are affected by your actions. You may be out riding around with friends and stuff and think that you're doing something that is funny or fun. You're going to have a good time, and somebody ends up getting deleted. And I want to tell you something else. This comes from me listening to stories of people telling me about them being arrested. 9 times out of 10, your own friends, the people you were with, are going to tell on you. You can say, well, I got ones that won't tell on me. Maybe you do, you know, but I've just seen so many times that people telling me stories of how somebody turned on them. And that's the reason they was there. If they hadn't said anything, they wouldn't have been there. But they put all the weight on, they put all the blame on this person. And they may get off, or they may get a little bit of time, but they didn't get near as much as that person did. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this. Make smart choices. Don't go to prison. Work hard. Stay free. Enjoy your freedom. And there's always worse. You know, a person told me one time, he said, just remember this. He'd been in prison before too, decades before me, and had been out decades. He said, just remember this. Your worst day in the free world is better than your best day in prison. And then I haven't forgotten that. Anyway, I see y'all, and I thank you for watching, and see you next time.